Hello, this is Sonia here with the Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today we are going to be making a halter top and skirt set for an 18-inch doll. And if you don't know what an 18-inch doll is, it can be an American Girl doll. There are Canadian Girl dolls, Australian Girl dolls. There's all types of different 18-inch dolls. I think there's ones called My Life. So lots and lots of different types of 18-inch dolls. And this pattern should fit a variety of 18-inch dolls. So today's pattern is going to be a little bit of a beginner pattern. So if you are a more experienced crocheter, you might find this a little bit tedious. So you can just certainly, fast forward through the parts. And also my son just got an electric guitar. So if you hear that in the background, that's him enjoying his new toy. So I certainly apologize for that, but his room is next to mine, next to where I film, and so you might be getting a little extra something today. Alright, so to do this project, you are going to need a G hook, or 4.25 millimeter, and the yarn I am using, you can use either decate weight yarn or sport weight yarn, so I think this is more like a sport weight. And so this is going to be the main color of the halter top here. And then we are going to add like a little ruffle trim. So I'm going to use this yarn. I do not know what this is. It's got like this weird squiggly thing, but I think it'll be fine for the ruffles. And I think the yellow, and this is yellow and this is like a pink here. So I don't know how it's showing up in camera, but it's kind of like a darker pink. So I think it's going to look really cute together. Okay, so I have chained 45 here. So now we are going to turn this chain into a circle. So an easy way to do that, we are going to slip stitch into the very first chain that we made, but we need to be careful that we don't twist this chain because you can easily twist it and we really don't want it twisted. So a little trick that I do, if you're using a shorter chain, sometimes it doesn't work as well with a longer one, but a shorter one it should work. So I like to start at the top here with my thumb and my index finger, and then I'll just gently run it down the length of the chain, kind of keeping it straight like that. And so now I'm at my very first chain. So then I take my hook here and I just swing it around, and we'll just slip stitch in that first chain. So slip stitch. I can actually put links below of all these basic stitches if you're not sure. But we are going to work a slip stitch and it's going to form the circle. So there we go. We've got our chain. Hopefully she's not twisted. I don't think it is. And we're going to get started. So now we are going to be working in rounds. So this is going to be round one. So the chain where we're just getting set up, your chain is your foundation and you build off of your foundation. So to begin round one, I'm going to chain one and I'm going to single crochet right in that same chain, and this will be our first stitch. I'm caught on something. There we go. So I'm just working a single crochet right in that same chain, and you can work in your chain however you like to. Some people like to work, like I like working in both of these loops here. Some people, when they work in their chain, they only want to work in the top loop like that. Some people prefer to work in the back bump. So for this particular pattern, it doesn't matter how you work in the chain, you just need to work in the chain. So however you like to work in the chain, certainly feel free to do that. So I have worked my first stitch there, and I'm going to continue to single crochet all the way around in each chain. So one single crochet in each chain for round one. So I am just inserting my hook in the chain and working my single crochet. So I'm going to continue to work my single crochet all the way around for my round 1, and then when we finish, we'll get to our last chain, and then I will show you what to do. So at the end of round 1, you will have a total of 45 single crochet. So you want to have 45 single crochet. Alright, so I have one more stitch I need to complete for my round 1, my last single crochet, and you do want to make sure you have 45 single crochet. So I have completed round 1. So to finish it up, we are going to join, and we are joining with a slip stitch in our first stitch here. So I'm just working my slip stitch there, and round 1 is complete. So this part where we're joining is going to be the back of the top, because we want the nice part where there's no joins to be in the front. Alright, so let's get started for round 2. Round 2, we are not going to turn, so we're just going to keep working around. And some of this pattern is going to be worked in rows as well, but for starters we're going to work in the round. So we're going to chain 3, and this chain 3 is going to count as a double crochet. And this is going to be your first stitch. So we're not adding any stitches, we're not subtracting right now, this is counting as your first stitch here. So you're going to work in the next stitch. You don't want to already work in here, because if you do, you're going to add stitches, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to double crochet in our next single crochet. And as I said before, I'll have a link to how to work a double crochet if you've never done that. So there's our double crochet, and we're going to continue to double crochet all the way around for round 2. So I've now have three double crochet. So at the end of round 2, you will want to have a total of 45 double crochet. Alright, so we have finished up round 2. So now I'm going to join on top of my chain 3 here to complete the round. So I'm just going to pop my hook on top of that chain wherever I can fit it in there, and just work a slip stitch there. And now we have completed round 2. So now we're going to work round 3. Round 3 is going to be a repeat of round 2. So you're going to chain 3, and we are going to double crochet in our next double crochet, and you're just going to continue to double crochet all the way around for round 3. Okay, so I'm just about done round 3. I have completed my last stitch, and now I just need to join on top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch, and then round 3 is complete. So there we go. So now we're going to get ready for round 4. So we're going to chain 1, and we will single crochet right in that same stitch. So right on top of that chain 3. So now for this is our first stitch of round 4. We are going to be working in the back loops, working single crochet all the way around for round 4. So if you've never worked in a back loop before, today is your lucky day. So we are going to be working just a regular single crochet, but instead of working in both loops of this stitch. So here, if you see the top of the stitch here, so this is the top of the stitches of our double crochets we made for round 3. And if you're looking at it, it looks like a V. So here's one leg, here's the other leg. So when you're doing a regular stitch, you're working in both legs of that V. So you can see that right there. But when you're working in a front loop or a back loop, you're only working in one of the legs of the V. So if you're working front loop, let me move my finger there, you're just working in this part of the V, and if you can hopefully see that back loop is exposed. If you're working in the back loop, you're only inserting your hook into the back part of the V, and then the front loop will be exposed. So we want to work in the back loop. So depending what you're making, depending what the designer wants you to do, you might need to do that. Alright, so we are working in the back loop here, so I'm going to work in the very next stitch, just in the back loop, working a single crochet. So the stitch is the same, you're just working in the back loop. Inserting my hook in the next back loop, working a single crochet. So you're still going to have a total of 45 stitches, single crochets, all the way across, or all the way around for round 4. So I have a couple stitches in now, so now you can see here are the exposed loops. So these are the front loops that we did not work. They are sticking out, and we want them to stick out for a reason. So I will continue working my single crochet in the back loop for round 4. Alright, so I have finished up round 4 working in the back loops, and at the end of round 4 I am going to join in my first single crochet with a slip stitch, and you're going to join in both loops, and we are going to cut our yarn. So as I said before, this is the back of the halter top, and this is going to be the front, and we are going to start working in rows. Alright, so I've cut my yarn, I joined, so here we go. Here is the bottom part of our halter top here. So what we're going to do is, so this is the back where we've joined. You know, it looks okay, but we don't want that in the front. So we're going to flip it over, and so what you want to have is, you want the back to be fairly centered. It doesn't have to be exact, but just have this seam here, in the center, and then we'll flip her over like that. And now we're going to get ready to work in rows. So we're going to complete the front of this halter top. So you're just going to want to attach your yarn on the end here. So we have this folded, so you can just, towards the end, working in both loops here, attach your yarn. So I have put my hook in the loops, the tops of my stitch. I have my yarn, and I'm just going to pull it through, and my yarn is attached, and we are ready to go. We are going to be working a single crochet for our first stitch. So what we want to do is chain 1, and we're going to single crochet right in that same stitch. In our second stitch, we are going to work a half double crochet. So we yarn over, insert our hook in the next stitch, and work the half double crochet. So we have 2 stitches here. We want to have a total of 19 stitches. So now we are going to work double crochet. We're going to work 15 double crochet. So I've yarned over, insert my hook, and I'm working my double crochet. And I'm going to continue until I have worked a total of 15. Alright, so I'm pretty sure I have 15. I will just count just to double check. Yep, we got 15. So you want to just, do your stitch count there of 15 double crochet, but we have a total of 17 stitches so far. And I said we need to have a total of 19. So our final 2 stitches is going to be a half double crochet and a single crochet, because we want it to look like the other side. So there's our half double crochet, and then our last stitch for row 1 here is a single crochet. So there we go, we have the front part of our halter top started. So now we're going to start row 2. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work. It's going to be a repeat of row 1. So we will single crochet in that same stitch for our first stitch, and we'll work half double crochet in the next one. And then we will work 15 double crochet for row 2. And then our final 2 stitches will be half double crochet and single crochet, and then row 2 will be complete. Alright, so I've completed row 2, and so now we're going to get ready for row 3, which I was already getting ahead of myself. So as I said, this is a beginner pattern, so I don't want to rush. So we will chain 1, turn our work. We're going to do a single crochet row, and we're going to work in the back loops for this entire row because we want this front loop exposed here, because we will do something about that a little bit later. So I've chained 1, I've turned my work, and again I'm looking at the tops of my stitches, and I'm going to work in that first stitch there, pulling up that back loop and just working my single crochet, and I am going to continue to single crochet across here. Okay, so I have finished up working in my back loops, so you can see my front loop exposed, and this is the front of my project, so this is the right side. So we're going to work on row 4 for some shaping. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. This is a wrong side here, and we are going to single crochet in that same stitch, and we are going to half double crochet in the next stitch. So in the next 4 stitches we are going to be doing our decrease stitches, because what we want to do is, as I said, we're going to do some shaping, and we want our the top part, the front, I want it to go in a little bit like this, so slightly triangular. So I'm going to turn 2 stitches into 1, but I'm going to do it twice, so we're going to be working over 4 stitches total, because I want to decrease 4 times. So I have 19 stitches right now, and I want to decrease them down to 15. But you want to do it evenly, so it's going to be the same on both sides. And decrease stitches are the same as together stitches. I learned them as decrease, so if you're not sure about that, and you know, to me they just make sense as decrease, but it's the same thing. Alright, so if you've never done a decrease or together stitch, it's a double crochet decrease or double crochet together, yarn over. You're going to insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. We're going to yarn over again, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up your loop. You have your 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2. Now you have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over, pull through the final 3 loops. And now you have combined 2 stitches into 1. We'll do that one more time. So yarning over, I'm putting my hook in the next stitch, and I'm working in both loops for this row. Pulling up my loop, yarn over, pull through 2, going to yarn over, insert my hook in the next stitch, pull up a loop. So I have my 4 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through the final 3 loops. And now I have decreased 2 times, but I've worked over 4 stitches total. So for the rest of this row, I'm going to work double crochet until I get to my last 6 stitches, and then I'm going to decrease twice, then work a half double crochet and single crochet so that both ends mirror each other. They look the same. Alright, so I'm going to keep going, working my double crochet. If you've already done together or decrease stitches, if you're more experienced, and then that little lesson was probably extremely tedious, but for someone that is new to this, hopefully it was helpful. So I'm just going to count and see how many I need to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 1 more stitch there. Working my regular double crochet. So now I'm ready to work my decrease stitches. And there's 1. So we need to do that again. So now I have 2 decreased stitches, and now I'm going to work a half double crochet. And then a single crochet in my last stitch. so now we have a total of 15 stitches. We started out with 19, but now we have 15. So now we are going to chain 1, turn our work. So now we're ready for row 5. So we are going to just decrease 2 times, and we'll have a total of 13 stitches. So I have chained 1, turned my work. I'm going to single crochet right in that same stitch. And I'm going to half double crochet in the next stitch. And then I'm just going to decrease 1 time. So you can see where we decreased here, we combined 4 of these stitches into 2. So if you turn it over and look at the top, you can just see 1, 2, where previously there would have been 4. So we're going to decrease across those 2. So I'm going to continue to double crochet across until I have 4 stitches, and then I'm going to decrease and then work my half double crochet and single crochet to complete row 5. So I'm just counting. You just want to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need to work 1 more double crochet, regular double crochet, and now I'm ready to work the decrease again. And work a half double crochet and a single crochet in my final stitch. And so now row 5 is complete, and we have a total of 13 stitches. So if you look at it, you can see she is starting to get that slightly more triangular shape there, just what we want. So now we are going to work on some trims, because this by itself is, to me, is just not looking the cutest. We're going to cuten this up here. Alright, so let's get started on round 1. I'm not going to cut my yarn yet. So what you're going to want to do is, because we're going to work in the same color, and then I'm going to use my transition color for my next round. So you want to have a multiple of 3 of, we're just going to work single crochet all the way around. So you want your stitches to be a multiple of 3. So anything dividable by 3 is going to work. So, 6 times 3 is 18, 9 times 3, 27. I mean, there's going to be more than that. And so what you're going to want to do is you want to make sure too that your stitches look even, especially when you're working along this side here. So if I work maybe 5 stitches down the side, then I want to make sure I work 5 on that side as well. So let's get started on working our edging or trim, however you want to call it. So I actually am going to mark this stitch right here, because we are working around. So here is my stitch marker, and I'm just going to pop that in my last stitch here, just so that I know that this is my very last stitch. Just a little helpful guide. You can use whatever you have on hand. You can use bobby pins. I just use scraps of yarn, actual stitch markers, whatever you have. Especially if you're a beginner crocheter, it doesn't have to be expensive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work right back in here, because if I just jump down the row or down the side here, it might kind of pull and just look kind of sloppy. So you want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room around those corners. So I'm just going to pop 2 stitches in there. So 1, 2. So now I'm ready to kind of go down that side, and I don't have to like stretch a stitch and have it make it look sloppy. Alright, so we have 2 stitches, and I'm just going to work on the ends of my row here. So you want to keep a count. So there's 3. So now we are on this area. You can see there's a bit of a gap. So what you can do to kind of help make your work look as neat as possible, you just kind of eyeball it and just see where you can insert your hook through some loops there, and just single crochet around and see how that looks. See, then that kind of looks a little bit neater and tidier. Alright, so we are at 4 stitches. So as I said before, a multiple of 3. So I'm going to work right in here. And I'll work in this guy here. So this is just going a little bit of the extra mile so that your work can look as nice as it can. Alright, so now we've worked down the side, so I want to remember how many stitches I've worked. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 stitches down the side, so I want to make sure that my final stitches are going to be 6 here so that the sides, you know, kind of match. So now we're just going to continue to single crochet along the back here. So we can actually single crochet in actual stitches. So I'm just going to work in here. 7. So when you get to your final, whatever stitch count that would be. So if you used, this is a little bit finer yarn. So if you use maybe more of a DK weight yarn, then you might not need 6 stitches down your side. You might need less stitches. It doesn't matter. It won't affect the look of the pattern. You just need to make sure that your final stitch count is a multiple of 3. So I'm going to continue single crocheting across the back here. As you can see, I'm just working in the actual stitches until I get over here, and then I will meet you back and we'll finish up round 1 here. Alright, so I've stitched to my other side here, so we've already worked here, so I know I need to work 6 stitches up here, and then we are going to continue to single crochet across the top here to our first stitch. So I already did some calculating here. So if I work my 6 here and just single crochet across, I'm going to have 52 stitches. So 52 is not dividable by 3. So I need 54 stitches. So you just might have to do a little bit of counting. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just pop in 2 extra stitches in an area that's not very conspicuous. So I'm just going to do it on the side here. I'm going to actually rip back 2 stitch, or actually 1 stitch here, 1. So this stitch that I pulled out was actually stitch 33. This is stitch, then this would be 32. So this is 32. I'm going to pop another stitch in here. So 33, I'm just increasing right in that same stitch. So 34, 35, because I need to increase 2 more times because I want to have a total of 54 stitches, because 54 is divisible by 3. So now I'm going to work my 6 stitches up here. So I need to work 2 more for the side. So see, this stitch here is sharing. I'm going to pop 2 stitches in that area there. So I have that little wiggle room to be able to stitch easily across. So this is stitch 5, stitch 6. So now I have my 6 stitches on the side, and then I'm going to single crochet across to my last stitch here, which is marked by the stitch marker, and then I will have 54 stitches, and I'll have my number dividable by 3. So adding those 2 just gives me that wiggle room to be able to single crochet very easily in that next stitch and just continue across. So you do have to do a little bit of thinking as far as, planning your stitches, because you want your work to look neat and tidy. I mean, you could just kind of add as many stitches as you want, make sure you have dividable by 3, but if one side is super heavy with a whole bunch of stitches and the other side doesn't have as much, it's going to be noticeable. So just a little bit of, planning ahead can really take your project to the next level and just make it look really nice. So we're almost to the end here, and then I'll do a quick count just to make sure that I do indeed have my number that's dividable by 3, but I'm pretty sure it's right. So here is my last stitch. I'm going to pull out that stitch marker, and just pop that single crochet in there. So before I join in my first stitch, because we will be joining, I'm going to do my count, but as you can see, both sides, this yarn is covering it up. So yeah, both sides look pretty even there. All right, so I do indeed have 54 stitches. We are good to go. So I'm just going to join with a slip stitch in my first stitch here, and I'm going to cut this yarn. I could just join with the new color, but I don't want my joins to be really noticeable, so I'm going to cut the yarn and we'll do the join in the back. Again, just, you know, as I said before, you want your project to look as nice as it can be. So that is my reasoning for that. All right, so there we go. We have that round one complete. So let's get ready to work on round two. Okay, so now we are ready to work round two here. So I'm just going to insert my yarn. I'm going to insert my hook right here on the side. I'm not going to do it right in the center. As I said before, we're going to have to join in the first stitch when we're done this round, and joins aren't completely seamless, so I just want to do it on the side. So this round we are going to incorporate the straps as well, and also the trim, the decorative trim here. So I have my contrasting color. I'm going to chain one, and I'm just going to single crochet right in that same stitch. And now I am going to chain two, and I'm going to double crochet in the next stitch. So I'm not sure how this trim is going to look with this yarn. As you can see, it has a very interesting texture to it. It's kind of weird, but I like the color. All right, so now we're going to skip our next stitch here, and we're going to repeat. We're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and chain two, double crochet in the next. So very, very simple trim here. I'm going to skip my next stitch, single crochet in my next. So I'm going to repeat that until I get to this corner, this first corner right, that was my scissors, sorry, right here. So stitch up until you get to this corner, and then we're going to work on the strap. All right, so I am up to my first corner. I finished my single crochet. Here's my chain two, double crochet in the next stitch. So normally you'd skip that stitch and then single crochet in the next. But we are going to work the strap. So if you're you want to end on double crochet, and even if you're right here, it's okay. As long as you're around the corner area, it should be fine. So now we're going to work a chain. We are going to, because we are stitching this strap right on, so we're going to chain, I think 50 will be okay. Alright, so I have my 50 chains here. So now we are going to work in this chain. I'm just going to add a little decorative, like a little bobble at the end of my strap. You don't have to do that. I just want to give it a little bit of interest so it's not, just a boring strap. So in my fourth chain from my hook, and this yarn is tough to find the chains with all the weird ripples. I suggest if you are a beginner, don't use yarn like this. Use yarn like that. It'll make your life easier, but I'm trying to use up this yarn. It feels nice and soft. It's just, I'm not a big fan of this real textured type yarn. I think this is my fourth chain from my hook. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into my fourth chain from my hook, and pull up a loop, just like we would be working a double crochet. I'm going to yarn over, pull through two. I'm going to yarn over again, go right back in that same stitch and pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over, pull through two. So now I have 3 loops in my hook. I'm going to do it one more time, yarn over, right back in that same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So now I have 4 loops in my hook. I'm going to pull through all 4, and then I've created my little bobble there. So what you want to do next is you just want to continue to slip stitch across your chain. And that just gives it a little bit more of a finished look instead of just, you know, slapping a chain on there. I mean, you could do that, but as you can see, like, you know, it doesn't look that cute. You could also sew ribbons, which is really nice, but if you want to have like a smaller child use this, ribbons can come off. It could be a choking hazard. So I do prefer to stitch my straps on, you know, especially if it's going to be a gift for a small child. And this one might be a gift for a small child, I'm not sure. So I'm going to slip stitch up my chain here. So just a refresher on a slip stitch, very simple. You're just going to insert your hook in the chain. And if you can't get real close to this guy, I mean, get as close as you can. If you can't get to the very next chain, it's quite all right. And so I'm going to insert my hook in my chain, however you want to work in your chain. And so I'm going to pull my loop through and then just pull through. And again, this yarn is like, whew, should have rethought this choice. But we're going to work through it. Just think it's a pretty color. I like the color. So I'm going to continue to wrestle with this yarn and slip stitch up my chain, and I will meet you back. Alright, so I have finished slip stitching up my chain. As I said, it gives it a neater finish. Now this yarn, as I said before, is really weird. That's all I can think of, the word that comes to mind. So it's not going to look as smooth as yours might. So here's one that I did that I slip stitched, so you can see it, you know, it looks a lot neater and tidier. And then here's the little bobble at the end. So, but this, you can see the difference in yarn types, how that can affect your project. Okay, so I've slip stitched up my chain to my double crochet. So now I'm just going to continue with my trim here. So I skip my next stitch, single crochet in the next. And we're all attached, safe and sound, stitched on there. I mean, a kid would have to really work hard to get that off. You'd have to just straight up cut it, or if they have razor teeth, I guess. Alright, so we're going to chain 2, double crochet in the next stitch. So I am going to repeat this trim. So skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next, chain 2, double crochet. I'm going to do this across to my next corner, and then we will work the second strap. Skip the next. So this is where we joined here. I'm just going to pop my hook right in there to create my double crochet, and I'm right at this corner here. So now I'm going to work the second strap. So I'm just going to chain 50 again. And I'm going to repeat the same directions of my little bobble and stitch all the way up. So I'm going to do that. I'll meet you back. Alright, so I have completed my second strap. We got there. Struggle was very real with this yarn. Oh my goodness. Alright, so I slip stitched up to my double crochet. So we're just going to continue in our trim pattern or border pattern here. So I'm going to skip my next stitch and just single crochet in the next. Chain 2, double crochet in the next, and skip the next and single crochet. So I'm going to keep going until I get to the end of this round. So just to take a quick peek here. So here is our straps here, looking cute, nice and attached. So I'm going to keep going here, wrestling with this yarn. Very poor yarn choice on my part, but I like the color. That's keeping me going here. So I will meet you back. Alright, so I have completed my round here. I just need to join in my first stitch, and we got through it with this yarn. I'm not loving this yarn choice, but I'm committed. I'm this far now. I'm in. I've got to see it through. Alright, so once you get to the end of your round, you want to join with a slip stitch, and then you can cut your yarn. And the first part of your trim will be complete. So here we go. So there's the front there. We've got our straps that are attached. So what you're going to want to do next is you're going to want to do the trim for the bottom part. So I'm going to attach my yarn. So I'm going to do it probably over here, as I said before, so it's not in the middle. And I'm just going to attach my yarn, and I'm going to chain 1 and work a single crochet. And I'm using this crazy squiggly yarn. I'm not a fan of this one yarn. And if I had to take this apart, I think it would just be a nightmare. So let's not mess up. All right, so I've worked a single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 2, double crochet in my next stitch, and I'm just working at the bottom of my chain. So we worked our first round here was a chain. We worked on the chain, and so these are this is the unused loop of the chain. So it's just the other side. All right, so I'm working my double crochet, and then I'm going to skip this next stitch and single crochet in the next. And I'm just going to repeat that all the way around. So I've got my single crochet, my chain 2, double crochet in my next stitch, skip my next, single crochet in my next, chain 2, double crochet in the next stitch. So I'm just going to keep doing that all the way around, and then when we get to the end, you're going to join with a slip stitch in your first single crochet. So I'm going to meet you back at the end of my round here. Okay, so I'm almost done my round here. So I have my chain 2, going to double crochet in my next stitch there. And then here I'm going to skip this last one and then just join with a slip stitch in my first single crochet. And then my round is complete. So then you can cut your yarn, and there you go. We've got that finished. So it's taken shape here. So we have the top part and we have this part. So now we are going to be working in the unused loops here that we have. So if you remember, we worked in back loops. So we're going to be working in these unused loops to add some more trim to hopefully make it look cute. All right, so we're going to do the other trim on our little top here. So I prefer doing it with the top, the right side up. So this is right side up. This would be upside down. So you want the back facing you and right side up. And I'm just going to join in a random back loop here, or unused loop. Sorry, not a back loop, it's an unused loop. And we're going to do the same thing as we just finished here on the bottom. So I'm going to chain 1, single crochet right in that unused loop, and I'm going to chain 2, double crochet in my next loop there, and we're going to skip our next stitch and single crochet in the next, and chain 2, double crochet in the next, skip our next stitch and single crochet in the next one. And we'll skip the next stitch. So I'm just going to repeat this all the way around, and then as before, when you get to your last stitch, get the hook out of the way, last stitch, then you're just going to join on top of your first single crochet there. So I'm going to finish up there and I'll meet you back. All right, so I'm almost done my round here. I need to chain 2, double crochet in my next stitch there, and then I'm going to join on top of my first single crochet. Where is it? This yarn, it's like, I'm not enjoying it. As I said, the color is pretty. I really like the color. Okay. And now we can cut our yarn. We can turn it over, see the front. So if you noticed with it, the trim is flipped up. I tried it both ways. I actually like the way this looks better. I just think it looks cuter. If you don't prefer it, if you want it flipped down, then you could do the trim, attach the yarn with your project upside down, and then you could work the trim and then it will flip down. But I just thought it was cute flipped up, so that was just a personal preference. And so now we are going to do our final trim here. So we have unused loops here. So we're going to go all the way over. Okay, so I want it to be seamless as far as the colors. So if I attach my yarn at this first unused loop, you're going to see that little gap there, and I don't want to see that. So I'm just going to pick up a strand here, anywhere like from a stitch. So we're kind of fudging it a little bit because this is just, you know, I just want it to look like it's kind of all connected, and that's okay. You can do that. It doesn't have to be like exact stitches here or there with certain projects, because you want to look at it, you kind of want to think about what you're doing and how you want it to look. So I'm attaching my yarn, and we're going to chain one, and I do have my project right side up. I did not state that because I want my trim to flip up. And I am working a single crochet right in there. And let me get my tail out of the way. Get out of the way. All right, so now we are going to chain two. So this is going to be a row. And then I am going to double crochet. I believe that's an unused loop there in that next one. So with this row, it's going to be a repeat of what we've been doing, except we're not working in the round. So I'm going to skip my next unused loop, single crochet in my next. So it might not work out exactly with the math. So again, it's okay. You definitely want to end on a single crochet. So I'm going to try to, you know, just fudge it and end my single crochet. See that little like part of that stitch there? I'm just going to pop my single crochet in there. So let's see how this works out. So we'll chain two, double crochet in that next unused loop. Alright, so we're getting close to the end here, so I was skipping that one, single crocheting in the next. So yeah, I think we'll be able to kind of fudge this a little bit at the end here. So I'm going to chain two, double crochet, I believe there's an unused loop there. So I'm not going to be really skipping a stitch at the end here, but as I said before, I want it to be connected, so I'm just going to pop my single crochet in that part of that stitch there for my final stitch. And then we have our little trim. So what you're going to want to do is I'm going to cut my yarn there. So then your top is just about finished. So you definitely want to weave in your ends. So what you can do with your end, so you have an end here, and you would take your yarn needle. So to help make this look a little bit more connected, I would use my yarn needle and just kind of poke it through. You can see this stitch here. Or actually no, I'd probably, because I want this to flip up, so I would poke it through this stitch up here, poke my yarn needle through the center, thread this tail through there so it's on the other side, and then just continue to weave in that end. And so that's going to help tack down that part of the trim, and then same would go for the other side. So you have this tail, and so I would probably, you know, poke it through this stitch here, have the tail on the other side, and then continue to weave in my end, and it'll just help tack it down. And you'll have a nice, so it'll just look like it's, you know, all connected there. So here is your little top. And then to dress your doll, I suggest doing it feet first. So you insert the feet and then just pull it up like that. All right, so now we're gonna get ready to make the skirt. All right, so now we're gonna make the skirt. So again, I'm using my G hook, or 4.25 millimeter. So I'm going to take, or I already did it, I took my main color here, and I worked a chain of 42. So I have my 42 chains here, and we're going to want to join in our first chain we made to make a circle. So what I like to do, because we don't want to twist this, is I have my index finger and my thumb. I just kind of like to run it along the chain, all the way to the end there, and then just join in the first stitch with a slip stitch. Now there's different ways you can do that so it doesn't twist. That's just one way that I like to do it. It's just a small circle. So if you have it to make a large circle, there's other tricks that you can do, but we're just making small circles. So this skirt is going to be made top down. So from the waist down towards the knees. So now that we've joined, we're going to chain one and work a single crochet in that stitch. So we joined with a slip stitch. So we are working our single crochet, and then we're going to continue to single crochet all the way around this chain until you have a total of 42 single crochet. Now you can work in your chain however you would like. I prefer working in both of the strands of the chain. Some people only like to work at the top. It just depends. Some people like to work in the back bump. So sometimes the designer will tell you, you know, where to work in the chain, and if they don't, then just work in it however you like to. So I'm just going to keep going, working my single crochet all the way around for round one of my skirt here. So I will meet you back. All right, so I've got one more chain here. I'm going to work my single crochet in there. That's my 42nd chain, or my 42nd stitch, and also my 42nd chain. And now I'm going to join in my first single crochet there with a slip stitch. And so we've completed round one. So now we are going to start round two. We are going to chain three. Now this chain three will consist of a half double crochet and a chain one space. So what you're going to do is you're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to work a half double crochet in the next one. So we're going to chain one, skip the next stitch there, next single crochet and half double crochet in the next. So we're just going to continue that all the way around. So chaining one, we're going to skip our next single crochet, half double crochet in the next. Chain one, skip our next single crochet, half double crochet in the next. So I'm going to keep going all the way around, and I will meet you back. Okay, so I'm almost done round two. I just need to chain one, and I'm going to join on top of my first chain two. So we don't want to do on top of the chain three because we are going to cover up our chain one space. So when we join on top of the first chain two, we've created our chain one space there. And I joined with a slip stitch. So at the end of round two, you're going to have a total of 21 I don't know where 40 came from. Well, 42 we started, but we're going to have 21 chain 1 spaces and 21 double crochets or half double crochet stitches. So let's get ready to start round 3. So we are going to chain 1 and single crochet right in that same stitch. And in our next chain 1 space, we're going to work 2 single crochet. So we are going to be increasing a little bit here, and then we're going to single crochet in the next half double crochet there. So we are going to work 2 single crochet in the next chain 1 space and single crochet on top of that half double crochet. And you're going to keep doing that all the way around. And at the end of your round 3, you will join with a slip stitch in your first single crochet. So what we're creating here with these spaces, this is going to be a drawstring skirt, so it makes it for very easy dressing. It will fit a variety of doll waist sizes because a lot of 18-inch dolls, you know, literally not one size fits all. They, even within the same brand, we have American Girl dolls. And some of our dolls, their waist sizes are smaller, some of them are larger. I think it just depends on what year the doll was made. So yeah, they're not all created equally there in size, so that can make it a little challenging so that it'll fit a variety of sizes. All right, so I'm gonna keep going. So we have finished up round 3 here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to join in my first single crochet there, and at the end of round 3, you're gonna have a total of 63 stitches. So we're going to start round 4. You're going to chain 3, sorry, not chain 4. And we're just going to work even all the way around. We're going to work, you're going to have a total of 63 double crochet. So your first chain 3 counts as a stitch. So we're just going to double crochet in the next one. And just continue to work double crochet in each stitch. So I'm going to continue doing that for round 4 here, and I will meet you back. Okay, so I have finished up round 4 here, and I'm going to join in my first stitch on top of my chain 3 with a slip stitch there. And now we're going to get ready to work round 5. So round 5 is going to be an increase round. So let me get my darker background so you can see it better. So just hold on. All right, so hopefully you can see that a little bit better. I had forgotten to get that guy out. So we are going to work round 5. So round 5, we are going to chain 3, and we're going to work, this is going to be an increase round. So what that means is we are going to be adding stitches because I want the skirt to flare out a little bit. So we need to add some stitches, so that's called increasing, and increasing is very, very simple. And we're going to work this in a sequence of 7. So you'll understand what I mean as we get going. So this counts as our first stitch, and this will be stitch number 1. And so we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. So that's going to be stitch number 2 in our sequence of 7. And stitch number 3. So we're just double crocheting again, stitch number 4, stitch number 5. Okay, so we're going to work stitch number 6. Just need to, my yarn is snagged on something here, so hold on. So we're at stitch number 6, so we're going to work stitch number 6. We're just working even, and what that means is if you hear or if you see it in a pattern when it says work even, it just means 1 stitch in each stitch. So now we're at stitch number 7. Stitch number 7 is where we're going to work the increase. So how we're going to do that is we're just going to pop in 2 double crochet right in that same stitch. So very, very easy. So here is our first stitch, and here is our second stitch. So now we have a total of 8 stitches, but we worked it in a sequence of 7. So you're just going to repeat that. So stitch number 1, working even, 2, again, working even. 3, 4, 6, and now we're at stitch 7. So stitch 7, we're going to pop in 2 double crochet for the next increase. And you're going to keep doing that all the way around. So you're going to again work in your sequence of 7, and then in your 7th stitch you're just going to pop in 2 double crochet. Going to do that all the way around. So your very last stitch, you're going to have 2 double crochet in that last stitch. So I'm going to keep doing that and I will meet you back. Alright, so I have finished up round 5, and you can see I've got my 2 double crochet in that last stitch. I'm going to join with a slip stitch on top of that chain 3. And at the end of row 5, you're going to have a total of 72 double crochet. So let's get ready for round 6. Round 6, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet right in that same stitch. And now we are going to work even. So if you remember before, working even is 1 stitch in each stitch, but we're going to be working in the back loops. So we are going to work in this back loop here because we want the front loop exposed, and we're just popping in that single crochet. I'm going to go work in the next back loop, and I'm just going to continue working single crochet in the back loops only for round 6. And at the end of round 6, you will have a total of 72 stitches because we just worked even. So I'm going to keep going, just working my single crochet around, and I will meet you back. Alright, so I finished up my round 6. I'm going to join in both loops in my first stitch there to complete the round. And now we're ready to work round 7. So you're going to chain 3. Again, that counts as your first double crochet, and we're just going to work even, working double crochet all the way around. So you want to be careful you don't double crochet right in that same stitch because you're going to add stitches. Again, this counts as a stitch. We're going to work in the next one, and we're working in both loops and just working even. So again, you'll have a total of 72 double crochet at the end of your round 7 here. Alright, so I have finished up row 7, just working even all the way around. So we have 72 double crochet. So I'm joining in on top of my first chain 3 with a slip stitch, and we're going to get ready for round 8. So we are going to chain 3, and again this will count as a double crochet, and we're going to increase again. So we're going to increase in a sequence of 8. So this counts as stitch 1. So this is stitch 2, 3, we're just working double crochet, 4, so this is stitch 7. So now we're going to be at stitch 8. So we are going to work 2 double crochet in stitch 8 for our increase, and you will continue that all the way around. So you'll work even in the next 7 stitches. So we'll do it one more time. So 1, 2, 'So now we're at stitch 7, and we're going to pop 2 single crochet, or I'm sorry, we worked even in the next 7 stitches. Let me just double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now we're at stitch 8. Sorry about that. So in stitch 8 you will work your 2 double crochet for your increase. And this will probably be the last round that will increase. I just want the skirt to flare a little bit, not too crazy. So what you're going to want to do for this round is just, again, work 7 double crochet even, so that just means 1 stitch in each, and then in stitch 8 you're going to pop in 2 double crochet all the way around. And when you get to the end of your round, you will join with a slip stitch on top of your chain 3. Alright, so I have finished up my round 8, and it was my sequence of 8, And at the end of round 8, I have a total of 81 double crochet. So I think we have increased enough for our skirt. So I'm just going to join on top of my first chain 3 there to complete my round here. I'm joining, as I said before, with a slip stitch. So now we're going to get ready to work round 9. So round 9, we are going to work a single crochet, and we are going to work in the back loops again for round 9. So I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to single crochet right in that same stitch. So that's the chain 3, not working in back loops yet, but the next stitch is a back loop stitch. And just single crochet, we are working even. So at the end of my round 9, I will have a total of 81 single crochet. Alright, so here is our skirt here. I'm holding it upside down. So I ended up working up to round 17. So we have 17 rounds, and that was just repeating rounds 9, 10, and 11. So what I'm going to do is I still have one more stitch I need to work here. So I'm going to work that final double crochet. And I'm going to take my pink. So here is my trim color here. And again, you don't have to use the contrasting color if you don't want to. And I'm going to finish off that stitch with this contrasting color. So the way that I like to do it is I just finish off that stitch with my next color. And that's how I like to change colors. I'm not into doing knots, and some people like knots, and that's okay, but that's not my thing. Alright, so now we're going to join on top of that chain 3 with our slip stitch there. And now we're ready to go. So what you can do is you can cut your primary color here. So I'm going to do that. Alright, so now let's work on the trim for this skirt here. We're getting close to being done. Now, if you wanted your skirt longer, you can certainly work more rounds, but I wanted more of like a mini skirt style, so that's why I ended on round 17, or if you even wanted it even shorter, you know, whoops, picking up the wrong yarn there. Alright, so now we're going to do the same trim as we did, or edging as we did on the top. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to work that single crochet right in that same stitch. You're going to chain 2, double crochet in the next stitch, and you're going to skip the next stitch and just repeat that. So we're skipping our next stitch. It's just the repeat here. So we're going to single crochet, chain 2, double crochet in your next stitch, skip your next stitch. So we're going to work that single crochet, chaining 2, double crochet in our next stitch, skip the next, and now we're going to back to the repeat of keep going here, working my trim for my skirt. And I will meet you back. Okay, so I am finishing up my round, so this is my last stitch. We're going to skip that guy, and we're just going to slip stitch in that first crochet, or single crochet. Yeah, first single crochet. I think I thought it in my brain and it didn't come out of my mouth, so I just said crochet. Single crochet stitch. So we joined with a slip stitch, and now we can cut our yarn because that part of the trim is done. Alright, so now we're going to work our way up here. So now we are going to continue up the skirt here, working in the unused loops from the previous rounds. So you're going to insert your hook right in that first unused loop right there. That's why we worked in the back loops. Take your color that you want to use for your trim, and you could also use more than one color if you wanted. have like a rainbow skirt, that would be cute too. And we are going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet right in that unused loop. And we're going to chain 2 and double crochet in the next one. I'm just going to double crochet a little bit over that tail to kind of control it a little bit. Some people like to stitch over their tails completely. I don't like to do that because they often come undone. I prefer stitching them a little bit and then I weave in the rest. That's just a personal preference there. Sorry, this yarn is just, I don't know, it's being annoying. Okay, so we've worked that first little grouping there, and now we're going to skip the next stitch and work a single crochet in the next loop. Just like we did at the bottom of the skirt, we're going to chain 2, double crochet in the next. And skip the next stitch. So this is our repeat. So single crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the next stitch there, skip the next stitch, and you're just going to repeat that all the way around. Alright, so here's my skirt, and as you can see I finished up my trim here on the skirt, and I think it looks really cute. And you can either flip these up or down, or they might just stick out, you know, however you want to style it. So now we need to just finish up and work the tie. So to do that, I've already gotten started here. So what you're going to want to do is, this is going to be the first half of the tie. So I've already worked a chain of 50, and then what you want to do is in the 4th chain from your hook, which is really difficult to see with this yarn, but 1, 2, 3, 4, I've already yarned over. We're going to insert our hook in the 4th chain, pull up a loop like we're working a double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to yarn over again, insert our hook right back in that same stitch or chain and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So now I have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through all 3 just to create our little bubble there. And now I'm going to continue to slip stitch up my chain here. So I'm just going to insert my hook in the very next chain, and you can work in your chain however you would like. And I'm just working a slip stitch. And the reason why is I prefer this method because I think it just gives a cleaner and nicer look. You could just certainly make a chain for however long you would need and use that as your tie, or you could also just use a ribbon if you would prefer. But I'm going to show you this way here. So I'm going to continue to just slip stitch up this chain here until I get to the end. Okay, so here I've completed the first half of my tie, so there's the bottom, and I just slip stitched across my chain here. So now we need to work the other half of the tie. So we are going to again chain 50, and we'll just repeat what we did for the first half of the chain. So I'm going to keep chaining here. I'll work my 50 chains and I will meet you back. Okay, so here is the other half of my chain, or my tie, I'm sorry. And I've worked 50 chains, so we're just going to repeat. So we're yarning over, working in the 4th chain from our hook, and pulling up a loop. So we have our 3 loops like we're working a double crochet. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again, go right back in that same chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So we have our 3 loops, and we're going to pull through that final 3, and then you will just continue to work your slip stitch however you like to work in your chain, and all the way up to the top of your chain. And I'm going to keep doing that, and I will meet you back. Okay, so I've reached the end here. So when you get to the end, you'll just need to cut your yarn. Finish that guy off. Alright, so here is your tie. So what you'll want to do is you'll obviously need to weave in this end. So I usually like to kind of cross them this way, and then take my yarn needle and just weave through there, for that guy, and then my yarn needle on this side through that guy. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to take your skirt here, which I have. Now this is the back of my skirt, and you're going to want to decide, it doesn't matter where you, you know, if you want to tie it in the front, tie it in the back. I'm probably going to have mine tied in the back, so you're just going to insert your tie and just weave it in around this waistband all the way around. And then to dress your doll, you can just, you know, cinch it and tie it, you know, tie a bow, and you know it'll fit the waist size. You know, you can just tie it around the waist there like that. So we have the skirt here, and we have, here's our top. So again, to finish this guy off, you'll take your yarn needle and just weave in your ends to finish this off. So I have a bit of ends here, and then weave in your ends for this guy, which I did already do on the skirt, so that's all woven in. But I need to finish up with the tie. And then to dress the doll, which I usually like to do, is I usually like to dress the doll feet first. So I put the feet in this way and just kind of, obviously you do the top first. Put the feet in and then just shimmy it up, and then tie this around the neck, and then do the same with the skirt. You know, put the feet in that way and shimmy it all up and tie it. And then your doll's all set to go. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.